Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to A Brilliant Businesses podcast. My name is Nick Bryant, and I'm extremely pleased to be with Martin Riley today. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Nick.
How are you, right?
Very good, thank you.
Good. Thank you for inviting me into your studio. It's such a lovely spot with lovely views around us. So, Martin is the business jet engine. He's an expert leadership and business coach based here in Sussex. And with over 20 years' experience, he's become highly skilled in working face-to-face with clients and designing powerful coaching tools. I think that's fair to say. I want to start off, Martin, and one of the first things I want to ask you is about your background, because it doesn't lend to sort of perhaps being a business coach, perhaps. It's a different sort of approach. So tell us about it.
Well, my first career was in product design.
Yeah.
And I got into that because I wanted to help people live a better life by using better tools.
Okay.
And I absolutely loved design.
Yeah.
And the process, but in the end I found it wasn't what I ultimately wanted to do, because I got hooked on personal development and psychology and found you could have a greater impact on people in their lives through information by dealing with them, the person, directly. So I kind of morphed into business and leadership training.
Yeah.
But it's the transferable skills that I've brought, because to be a good designer, one of the key principles is you've got to fully understand the problem for the solution to reveal itself.
Yeah.
So learning to ask really good, incisive questions is a key part.
Yeah.
The second thing that I bring from design is designers have to make the complex simple and easy to use.
Yeah.
So imagine you're designing a complex machine, there's lots of different parts. You've got to think, which parts really do the work? How do you assemble in the simplest possible way so people get it quickly and can use it easily?
Yeah.
And that's what I do with information that's life-changing or business-changing.
Yeah, and that must really help with teams, because putting different people together with different skills, building strengths and take away weaknesses.
And often it applies to anything where you've got to synthesize a lot of information and get to the heart of the issue quickly, whether it's how a team's functioning, how a business strategy is working or isn't working. It's being able to cut through to what's going on here, what's working, what isn't, what's going wrong, what's going right, when is this working, when is it failing.
Yeah. We had a session before Christmas, didn't we? And I thought it was incredible because I did a testimonial about it, but the way you sort of got the information out of me about my past and my history, which is all part of helping you make us better, isn't it? A big part of it, right?
Yes, huge part of it. And what we were working on was your business model. And there are so many different versions of how to create a business model, but they tend to be overcomplicated. And what I was doing with us, as I do with all my clients, is bring it down to 3 simple elements that do the most of the work.
Yeah.
Because that hones us in quickly. Lots of bells, whistles, nice to have, you can add later.
Yeah, sure.
But very quickly we got real clarity on what you do that's amazing.
Yeah.
And how you can make that profitable going forward.
Yeah, it's a really good approach. Business jet engine.
Yeah.
Explain that to us. I mean, it's a little bit self-explanatory, but there's more to it than that.
Well, hopefully not completely.
No.
I like a bit of mystery in there, please.
Yeah, sorry.
So most business owners, they're great at what they do. What they're not is experts in business. And I realised quite quickly, having worked with some big organisations in London as a leadership coach, when I started working locally, I realised there were very passionate people who contributed hugely to their community. They just weren't business experts. And I realised I needed a way of quickly helping them improve their business acumen, their business expertise. And I played around with various tools, metaphors, but came up with one that just kind of stuck and grew. And I realised the more I played with it, the stronger it got.
Yeah.
And really it's taking the metaphor of getting an aircraft in the air.
Right.
And it starts off, without giving you all the details now, but it starts off with, most people know at the heart of business, you've got to have the problem you solve for your customers or clients, your product or service. You've got to have your customer service, how you look after them, and you've got to have your operations, how you deliver that product or service. So this became, in our metaphor, the heart of the jet engine. That's the jet engine part. But then you need things like you need air in the engine, that's your sales and marketing. You need fuel in the engine, that's your finances, your pricing. You've got to have your people, that's like the wing. If you have rubbish people, it drives you down into the ground. You've got the right people, the right profile, then you get lift and take off. And of course you need a captain in the cockpit with all his dashboards and dials.
Yeah.
So he knows the plan, or she knows the plan, whether you're on track or whether you're off track.
Right.
So the metaphor kind of grew and stuck and became a very powerful tool to help business owners very quickly understand the 17 key parts you need for any business to work at its best, whether it's a small business or a large organization.
Yeah.
So it just became a very simple, powerful tool. And people were going, where did you get this from?
Yeah.
What book's it in? And I thought, well, I better write it.
There you are. There you are. I'll put a link to the book underneath so people can get it. So is it something that you hold like a daily session with? Is it a week? Is it something someone can download? How does that work?
What, the book itself?
No, the course to do the Business Jet Engine.
Yes, if people, there is an online course. They can work through it at their own pace. I mean, typically most people are working it through with me sort of one-to-one or in small groups.
Okay.
And I have various kind of offers there, starting from small to larger groups.
Right.
But really, the process itself, you take at your own pace.
Okay.
What the jet engine does is helps you see your business as a system, because you've got to know if you're going to make improvements, what are the ones that make the biggest difference?
Yeah.
So the process helps you identify where you're most weak, where you're strong, and then go, if I was to fix one thing this year that would have the biggest impact across my business, what would that one thing be?
Okay.
Then most business owners are a bit ambitious. They want a second thing and then a third, but we simplify it down, and that gets people really focused on tackling those issues one step at a time.
Yeah. And all those needs are different depending on the business owner. Or is it funny they all seem to choose the same thing? Or?
There are, in small businesses, there are some areas that are typically weaker.
Yeah.
Not for every business, sometimes, because most businesses are built in the image of their owner. If a business is strong at finance, they'll be very strong in that. If they're good with people, that'll be the strong element. If they're a sales-driven person, their organization will be strong in that. But normally the areas I find weakest in small businesses, marketing is always something they're struggling with.
Yeah.
Finance is always a weak area, particularly management accounts.
Yeah. It's something that they don't. When you're not taught that, are you, at any point at school or in
and unless you're a numbers person, people tend to really shy away from it.
Yeah. No,
whereas in Dragon's Den, what do they always ask you first? What's your margin? What's your profit?
If you don't know that, you're out, aren't you?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's really important.
It's kind of key.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to know your numbers, everyone. You've got to know your numbers. That's cool. Let's just go into the difference between or what you offer with coaching as well and leadership training, because they're two different things, are they?
Yes.
Yeah.
So coaching and training are slightly different in itself. Business and leadership are slightly different. So let's take business coaching.
Yeah.
If I'm coaching a client, I'll be helping them get their strategy right, looking at what are the plans, what are the priorities. We'll discuss what they're going to do next. They'll go away and try and take action on that. What then happens is typically they don't always get them done. The question's why not? And that's normally then a leadership issue, whether it's a self-leadership or another leadership issue. So the business coaching reveals the leadership issues, which we work on.
Right.
So that's kind of one differentiator there. The difference between coaching and training I think of as being when I go and work with larger groups to a more structured agenda.
Yeah.
And I'll be going into a company and working with 3 or 4 different groups or a group of leaders with a specific task in mind. Whereas the business coaching, we're looking, evaluating, seeing what's working well, what isn't, what the priorities are.
More of a one-to-one kind of basis.
Yeah.
Okay. And individuals, groups and teams, you mentioned it on your website. You just sort of touched on it a bit, really. And so you cover that. It's not just you talking to the business owner. You can go into business and talk to all their staff and try and work with them.
Well, what we're always looking at is what's the challenge, what's the problem, what's working, what isn't, and then saying, actually, what do we need to help fix it? Whether it's coaching, whether it's team training.
Yeah, okay.
So I cover a wide base of different things depending on what a business needs.
Okay, yeah. We were talking earlier about... no, let's not jump into this. Let's do something else first. I want to talk about the studio here, because it's such a great spot where people can just get away from the office and come here. We're in Bexhill, near Bexhill, aren't we?
Yes, just on the north side of Bexhill.
Does this stand you apart from other... Because no disrespect, there's a lot of business coaches out there and professionals at it. These sort of things add to the mix to make you a little bit at a higher level.
It's very, very intentional, because what I've found from my time going into businesses, going into their offices, going into their workplace, is very often the person I'm meant to work with, they're in the middle of a conversation, something urgent's come up, they come into our meeting, their brain is still on that thing that came up just before.
Yeah.
They get interrupted, they're distracted, and I realised the ideal, because originally I got clients coming to my home where I had a dedicated space, and I wanted to get away from working in my home too.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So my ideal was to create a very deliberately created, crafted space that would allow people to come out of their work environment, take a breath,
Relax, yeah.
take a pause, be able to sit back and think in a relaxed, constructive way about the challenges they were facing. So it's a very deliberately designed environment so people can do the work we need to do. And of course, I've got all the training, coaching tools to hand.
Yeah. I think it's interesting actually, point, because people will overlook it, because it's not just for them, it's for you, for your piece, and for you to deliver a good service. Because like you say, if you're at home as well, you've got distractions, you know, and I have been to business coaches before where I've gone to the houses, and it's much nicer where it's, you know, impartial for everyone. Yeah, it works really well. What I was going to say to you earlier is, you mentioned to me earlier about someone called Joseph Campbell, who was George Lucas's mentor.
Yes.
And I've never heard of him, and you told me such a great story about it. Tell us that again.
So Joseph Campbell was a mythologist, and he became, as you say, mentor to George Lucas, who created Star Wars.
Yeah.
And really he gave him all the key themes, which is why Star Wars was such a huge hit at the time, why it resonated with so many people. Because in the end, it's about the meaning of life. What's the purpose of life? And you know, storytelling is a very popular theme at the moment. And people have heard of the thing called the hero's journey, which is a summary of Joseph Campbell's thinking, where there is a common theme that we all tend to go through on our life journey.
Yeah.
And the simple version of that is, normally there is some event that causes us to depart from the comforts of our home. We're either lured on an adventure by choice, or we're caught by something and a door shuts behind us and we find we can't go back. There is a point of no return, and we enter a whole series of tests and trials where we have to grow as a human being.
Yeah, right.
We have to move from dependency to responsibility. And there's some common themes on the way. One is normally this threshold moment where the adventure begins and there's no return. And then normally there's the appearance of a helper. And often it's the unlikely character. In fairy tales, it's a frog or a gnome. Yeah. In Star Wars, it's Yoda, who at first seems a very unlikely, you know, helper, mentor, teacher. People have the series of tests and trials, and they normally triumph in some way. And there's three main things we're meant to achieve in life. The first thing is to realize or to become at one with or equal to our parents. This is where we're no longer living to our parents' rules. We are our own independent adult. Yeah. And in the movies and etc., it's often that, you know, winning the girl, winning the guy, you're now an adult in your own right. Yeah. The second round is realizing you're at one with or equal to society. You're not dictated to by society's rules, you make your own rules. And the third and the biggest one is where we realize we're at one with or equal to the Force, God, whatever you like to call it. Hence in Star Wars, put away the computer, Luke. Yeah. Feel the Force. Realize you're at one with the Force. And the word atonement comes from at-one-ment. So I love this idea. It helps us understand what life is all about. Is we've got three main tasks to achieve.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that, because you can put that into anything in your life, whether it's business, whether it's personal life, whether it's relationships, whatever it may be. Yeah. Is that a book?
It's a very heavy read.
Is it?
Yes, it's called The Hero with 1,000 Faces.
Okay.
And it was before the internet was as easy access as it was. Right. But I literally used to read it with a dictionary next to me, because every page I had to look up a word to make sure I understood.
Well, great learning, isn't it?
Yeah, but really worth it, because I've always been a seeker. I was always looking for what's the meaning of life? What's this all about? Yeah. And suddenly I had the picture on the jigsaw box, which is what I'm always trying to achieve for clients is, you know, where there's a complex system such as business, such as leadership, such as love, such as relationships, such as life. I'm always trying to give people the picture on the jigsaw box. So when they come across a piece of information, they go, that's where that goes. I can now help everything else I'm coming across make sense. Wow. And that's what Joseph Campbell did for me was he helped me understand a version of the meaning of life that I said, actually, that's the best I've got so far.
Yeah.
And I still haven't found anything to replace it.
Yeah, well, it's great you found it. It's searching for that and finding that. And so, yeah, I did say that, but you help businesses by using that model within their business, by, going through that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's right.
Yeah. And in the end, the hero's journey is about moving from being dependent to being responsible, taking ownership for your life, for your outcome, for what you create, manifest, design, co-create in your world.
Yeah.
And so I'm always trying to help people be more competent, more proficient at creating the life they want.
Nice.
Whether that's business, leadership, life, love, relationships, whatever it is.
Okay. Do you help all sorts of businesses from small to medium, large? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. The sweet spot tends to be businesses with sort of 5 to 15 staff.
Okay.
When they get above that, they start to go into sort of more complex processes and systems. But not necessarily. I've worked with larger businesses. I worked with a local business for 5 years, working with their leadership team. They had 250 people.
Wow. Okay.
And I was working with the senior management team on their strategy and their leadership skills, and then working with about 25, 30 other leaders in the business. And that was, a fabulous project to be involved with. Yeah. So it's more because of what we have most of in this area dictates what I work with.
Yeah, because it's pretty much local businesses, Sussex businesses, Kent businesses.
Yes, when we're doing face-to-face.
Yes, of course you can
Of course, I can work. We've all got used to working by Zoom. So yeah, that's a possibility.
And what's the future hold for your business? Well, you're just going to keep doing what you're doing, enjoying it, because you've got a great lifestyle business sort of approach. You've mapped it all out with what you were talking about earlier. Is there any more upwards, or
well, I would love to
leveling out?
Perhaps. The main thing I would love to do is get the business jet engine to more people.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I get such great feedback about the idea. So really, it's. I don't want to go to my grave with not enough people having heard about it. But otherwise, like you say, my objective is to have a balanced lifestyle, to balance work and life. And that's most of my clients are looking for that too.
Yeah.
A better business, because their business needs to support their life, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm very happy with my lot.
Yeah.
But I do just have that niggling ambition of wanting to get it out to.
But yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Help more people, and that's a good strong aim.
Yeah.
Thanks, Martin. That's been awesome. Really good talking to you. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, they can go via your website, via social media.
Yes, absolutely. There's 2 different websites. There's either the Business Jet Engine. Forget the business. It's businessjetengine.co.uk.
Okay.
Or there's martin-riley.co.uk. Either they can find out details about me. Excellent.
Okay, so if you need Martin, please do get in touch. So we'll wrap that up there, Martin. Thank you very much for inviting me in. It's been a pleasure and always good to talk to you. I learn so much from you. I always do. And we'll see you all for another podcast soon. Thank you.
Pleasure, Nick. Thank you.